Video game bosses are very diverse. A lot more diverse than the bosses I've encountered in real life. Some of which I didn't even have to fight to the death. But one such boss trope is so common that it leaves other games green with envy. That's right, the ever-famous plant or fungi boss. Game devs know that they can simply slap some googly eyes on a fern and throw it at the player and see who walks away. So here are 5 bosses that made me wish I paid more attention in Botany Class. Be aware that there will be significant spoilers for the following games: Death's Door, Batman Arkham Asylum, Kameo Elements of Power, Another Crab's Treasure, and Keeper. In Death's Door, you play as the Reaper, a Silent Crow protagonist tasked with gathering souls because Death allegedly sold out and the new CEO outsourced the labor. A miscommunication took Corvo more literally. Now we've got crows instead of a professional. The Reaper's first target in the game can be located in a place called the Grove of Spirits. Upon arrival, you encounter dozens of smaller spirits that follow you around as you make your way through one of the easiest tutorial dungeons I have ever seen. I say that, but stay tuned. With the door open, you can enter to be yelled at by the demonic forest spirit. It appears to be some kind of regional variant of the Pokemon Bell Awesome. An evil flower ballerina with 4 thorny vines. It has 4 main moves at its disposal. First, she gives a twirl and then slams the ground with 2 of the vines, and then the other 2. It is very easy to avoid. So just dodge and give them a few whacks from your weapon. Next, it will lay its vines on the ground and spin in a circle. Again, not too difficult to avoid. So you're able to give a few more smacks. That, it pulls the vines in close and moves around the arena. And I never really noticed it, but the spirits are watching the fight. Hi guys. This means you cannot get close enough to use your melee and must wait or attack it with your bow. Oh, now we're gonna keep it. The final technique by this berserking bulb is that it gets up on 2 vines, like legs, and spits out explosive clouds at the Reaper. You need to smack at its legs until it falls down. You continue to do this until the spirit is completely glowing pink, and it eventually expires, giving you a greater soul. Then it's off through the door. In Batman Arkham Asylum, Joker has taken over, and it's up to Batman to play his game and track him down while also neutralizing the other patients. One of such patients is Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy. Luckily, she's locked up in a special cell where she has no connection to the soil or the plants that would allow her to wreak havoc on the island. All Batman has to do is not treat her like garbage and move on. Maybe let her know that he'll check on the plants for her and promise that by beating the Joker, it will take care of the Titan that is poisoning them. Even if it's just a lie. He's more than capable of doing that.
I'm really not interested in a bunch of flowers, Ivy.
Damn it, Bruce. There are some instances where treating your villains with compassion and respect make your life so much easier. Except for Zaz. Not you. And not Riddler either. I hate him so much. You can literally eat one, both of you, together. And yes, I will call him Bruce when he does something that I think is stupid and that I don't agree with. It's like when I'm playing Tomb Raider and Lara isn't doing something that I think Lara would do. They make her be dumb for the sake of plot progression, and then she becomes a Laura, in my opinion. No offense to anyone named Laura, but sometimes Laura they just make her do stupid stuff. Or sometimes it's just a game mechanic, like she should be able to jump up to a cliff and she can't. And then I'm sitting there for 30 minutes calling her Laura because she's not acting like a Laura. So it's the same thing. When Batman doesn't do Batman things, he is Bruce. After that unnecessary aggressiveness, and I mean Bruce's and not mine, Harley lets Poison Ivy out, and she does exactly what you would expect. Dang. If only this hostility could have been avoided. Confrontation takes place in the Botanical Gardens. Ivy summons a giant Titan-infused plant, because of course she does. It's hard to determine exactly what this is, considering that most of the time Ivy is shown with a Venus flytrap. It doesn't look like a Venus flytrap to me, and I'm not going to put in any kind of research to see if someone determined what kind of plant this is. Dead. Like, that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. At least that's what it's gonna be. The fight starts with the plant trying to entangle Batman in its vines. Same as before, roll out of the way. It then starts shooting red balls of energy at you. And for some reason, Poison Ivy decides to open her shielding to laugh? Villains always doing something to basically sabotage themselves, huh? Just dodge and throw batarangs until it eventually falls forward. You can now spray explosive gel on it and blow up the first layer of the shell. This starts phase 2, where she calls for help from hypnotized police officers. Unfortunately, you do gotta beat them up. I tried just waiting it out, and no, you gotta beat up the police officers. I'm fine with that. Do the same thing as before until the plant collapses again, so you can blow up another layer. Moving on. Once you've taken her down, you can finally explode the final layer of the shell, which will kill the plant, and the two will fall down into the abyss. Speaking of abysses, abyssi. Well, that terrible joke doesn't really matter anymore because I didn't have time to play through the game and get the footage for the boss that was supposed to be in this slot, which was coincidentally the boss that was sparked this video idea. They don't have chapter select. Every game needs chapter select. I can't play through a 40-hour game to get near a boss near the end of it just to get this footage. Maybe in part 2. Instead, we're going to take a trip through the Forbidden Woods. Why are the woods in video games always forbidden? Specific woods I'm talking about this time are from Kameo. I played this 2005 game for the first time in 2025. Yeah. Though I do remember wanting to play it when it first came out, but looking at the other games that released in 2005, I can see why a lower class little boy like me didn't spend my 1 to 2 games a year budget on Kameo. I mean, no offense to Kameo, but Resident Evil 4 came out. We're here to talk about the boss in the woods, out there among the trees. In fact, he is the tree. After rescuing the children in the Forbidden Woods from very incompetent orcs, Kameo can enter the Forest Temple. It's kind of just a small room, a very easy puzzle about weights and rocks. You know how I pointed out the first dungeon in Death's Door being very simple? This is much more simple. This puzzle, however, is very important into understanding what to do further in the temple. And by further, I mean after this one puzzle and you are then face to face with the boss of the game when you walk up the stairs and through the door. Old Mawood. Old Mawood. Old My Wood. And is it just me, or I mean, it probably is just me. Mawood wakes up and begins slamming the ground and causing roots to pop Kameo up into the air, but at the same time, this causes explosive plants to drop. Remember how I was talking about how Poison Ivy opens up her safe little shell and laughs at you? You know, the only thing that allows you to hit her and do any kind of damage to her? Yeah, old Mawood's kind of the same way. In fact, in two different ways. One, giving you the explosive needed. You can then turn into Pummelweed and launch the explosive plants at Mawood and make him very angry. This causes him to shake off some of the orcs that have been living in his hair to annoy the hell out of you while you're waiting for the next step. That next step, to someone like me, who had not been paying any attention the entire time leading up to Mawood, and there were numerous signs and instances telling you what you needed to do, I apparently can't see, was waiting for him to open his mouth and then trying to use Pummelweed to launch orcs into Ma's mouth. And it worked. I mean, I did beat him with my method. It took a bit longer. However, when doing this fight again to get this footage, I discovered this brilliant hack. You can use it! I won't get mad. You know Rubble? The guardian you literally get before you even enter the Forbidden Woods, and that you use to open the chamber to the fight with the boss? Well, it turns out that when old Mawood is laughing at you, perhaps because you have the big dumb during a boss fight and forgot all of the obvious signs telling you what to do, well, you can just switch to Rubble and launch one of your rocks down his throat. You know? Alright, it is me. I'm the one making it dirty. In Another Crab's Treasure, while Krill is traveling through the expired grove, he is quickly stopped in front of a tire archway by a giant fungal creature adorned with a watering can. I will say, the lycanthropy pun did not go unnoticed, but I could not exactly figure out what has been cursed. So I did look up some information to find out that the diseased lycanthrope was originally supposed to be a frogfish before it transformed into what it is now, a fungus werewolf. Very Dark Souls. It's not too difficult of a boss. The Lycan is not exactly fast movement-wise, but it does have a leap that acts as a gap closer. It also spews out sludge that poisons you, so stay out. The lycanthrope also has a heavy left swipe that spins it away from you, leaving its back exposed if you avoid getting hit, as well as giving birth to corrupted crabs that are less scary than the usual crabs you've encountered during the game. They're just really slow. You've never played Another Crab's Treasure or any other Souls-like game. Bosses have these things called unblockable attacks. This means that you cannot use your shell and have to either jump, run, or dodge to avoid it. Depending on the boss, this will take a massive chunk of your health away or insta-kill you. The diseased lycanthrope's attack is that it will just start sucking up the area directly in front of it. Very avoidable. I really think that if you're gonna make a cool werewolf themed fungus creature, you could have thought of something a bit better. But if you don't avoid it, you'll be pulled inside of its mouth and munched on. After a short amount of time, Krill is able to alleviate the frogfish of its curse by killing it. That's how we cure most curses involving lycanthropy. We can now see what's on the other side of this archway. Oh, it's another boss. And finally, the most recent game I've played during the making of this video, Double Fine's Keeper. I did not know what to expect from this game other than exploring as a lighthouse, and I definitely did not expect to have a boss fight. Throughout the game, as you're traveling towards what is called the Mountain Eye, you find the world has been infected by some kind of eldritch horror. Since there's no voiceover, everything is up to the player to interpret. With that said, it's probably safe to say that humanity did something to eradicate itself, and in our remains, birthed a new era of mechanical entities and fauna, including rock people. Scattered about the biomes are shrines created by maybe the rock people that depict the story of the game. Fortunately, want to know the story, you'll have to exit the game to read the achievements or trophies. When this so-called wither arose, guardians appeared to fight it with their light. Light in a literal sense. That is why you, the Lighthouse, or as I referred to him in my playthrough as Dwight D. Lightenhouser, you can cringe at that. It's okay. Was called upon to fight this wither and restore the light to the Mountain Eye. In Chapter 32, you stumble across a giant plant in what appears to be the most corrupted place in the game. As you progress with destroying vines by reviving guardians and rescuing various creatures, you find out that this plant is no friend. The creatures begin attacking the plant pod before it eventually opens up and attempts to flee. Just a heads up, the game gives an arachnophobia warning, so watch with caution. But if you could tolerate the lighthouse and its vine-like legs, the giant plant is kind of similar, it's just bigger. You now chase the nucleus. That is what it is referred to as in the achievements, so that's what I'm going to call it, up a waterfall and into an interactive cutscene where you have to dodge the debris. This ends in a scripted loss. A few months or years, time's kind of irrelevant to a lighthouse. You find yourself as just an eye, rolling ever forward to complete your mission. This leads you to a place called the Sensorium, where you must confront the nucleus. This fight is not the most difficult, to be fair, even though you're just an eyeball. It involves Dwight catching on fire and igniting the vines, or turning into a plant yourself and burning the vines. Eventually, Twig and Twig's baby show up to pull the aggro of the nucleus and the wither so you can complete your task. As I said, it's not too difficult. It shouldn't take you too long to take out all 4 of the vines that are holding it up, and, like some of the other plants and fungi we've encountered, the nucleus drops down into the abyss. So, those were 5 times that video game bosses made me wish I had paid more attention in a botany class. I have noticed plants and fungi, as well as insects, being the go-to for game devs for quite a while. This is one of my earliest video ideas, even though I didn't really decide to just put it into writing until I was about to say the name of the game, and I decided, no, I'm going to save that. I'm going to save it for the part 2 that I have to do. So expect a few more of this topic, specifically this plant topic, but there will also be other boss-related videos. I intend to do a boss one every month, like a different boss theme every month. We'll see how well that goes. So expect quite a few more of this topic in the future when I have the time to show off my green thumb. Nope, that's a dumb joke, but we're going to keep it in. I thought it was stupid and funny at the same time.